Last year I promised to make a jewelry box for my granddaughter, but this is a project that I've been postponing for many months now. The reason for my reluctance should be obvious. Making such a personal item for a teenage girl is not an easy job. This is a piece that should still be there when I am gone. One of which she says my grandfather made me this, and maybe she will even pass it on to her children or grandchildren. I have been thinking long and hard about how to best achieve this, but plans are one thing. What I really needed was a motivation to finally start working on this project, and here we are. The box itself will contain a segmented ring and will also be my entry for the March challenge of the hash segment MM. That means the project has to be done in March. Because of missing parts, I'm unable to finish the box completely, but the video is still more than long enough. I will post a follow-up of finishing the box when I make the lid in another video. I've cut off the corners on the bandsaw, and now the blank goes on the lathe. I start with making one side flat, and that will then be the bottom of the piece. I'm marking the center with a pencil, and then using my template, the tenon side of course, to mark out the size of my large chuck, and that will be plenty strong enough to hold it. The line is a little bit on the inside, so what you will see me do next is I will use the parting tool and cut on the line instead of next to it. And then I'm using the ball gouge to sort of shape the inside of the ring, of the recess I should say. Make it a bit deeper. You can actually leave quite a bit of wood in the center as long as the clearance for the jaws is there, and that's what I like to do, because that way you can still have a bit of bottom thickness. And the other pencil line that you see on there is the edge of the base, or where the piece will stand on. So now I'm shaping the outside of the base to sort of flow into that, because what I wanted to do on this one is I wanted to make the rim of the piece somewhat above the table. So The box will stand on the ring in the center, of course, and then the edges will be a few millimeters higher, so that it seems to float on the table. So making an undercut next to the base, and then cut away a little bit of wood from the edge, so that it becomes higher than the foot. And you still hear the gouge bouncing a bit, but that's because I didn't want to make the base completely round in this stage. I want to leave the flat spots on there, so that I can better match the ring to the bottom. Getting a nice rounded edge here on the outside. So here I'm making grooves in the center, just for the looks, and I'm drilling the hole for my logo disc. So here's the piece sanded. It's already looking a lot better. And now I'm wiping it off with denatured alcohol to get rid of as much of the dust as I can. And then comes the shellac-based sanding sealer. Putting it on with a brush while the lathe spins. That works nice for me. And this shellac-based sanding sealer I use here is also tinned with some extra alcohol, because out of the bottle it's a bit too thick to my liking. And then after the sanding sealer has dried, the surface will always turn a little bit rough, and a good way to get rid of that is to use some shavings to brush it off, or burnish it, as you like. And that already makes for a pretty shiny piece of wood, but since I'm doing my utmost to make this project good looking, I will also put on Yorkshire grit. So this is the last stage of the Yorkshire grit, brushing it off on with the lathe spinning at a fairly high speed, and then wiping off the excess with a clean cloth. Whoa, that's shiny. But I only worked on the bottom here, and why that is you will see next. So here I'm marking the amount of wood that I need to take from the top. So anything above that doesn't need any finish because it will be cut away anyway. So here I'm cutting away most of the wood from the outside, but I'm leaving some wood in the center, partly because of the overhang and partly because I want to use that as a ridge on which I can center the ring. So you see me holding it here with my finger on the top, on the flat spot, so that they are in the same position, and then I can mark out where that ring is more or less going to be. There's still a few millimeters of wood left to take from the outside, and that will be the ridge where the ring sits against. So now I can whittle away at the center section. Everything inside that circle can essentially go. And better to take whatever wood I can right now, because it's much more easily accessible when the ring is not yet in place. So with that being done, I start to take the final bits of wood from the outside. I'm now going up to that line in order to create the ridge that I just mentioned. And then I can fit the ring for the first time. I'm also feeling if it's not wobbling, and it was a bit at this point in time, and here you can see why. With a ruler you can see that it was a bit concave, so I had to make it a bit flatter. And that was a matter of using the edge of the ball gouge to scrape a bit of wood on the outside. It didn't need much, but if you want to glue on such a big piece of wood, the two surfaces need to be as flat as they can. Now it's flat. So that means gluing time. I always put a lot of glue on one side, in this case the ring, and then just a little bit on the other side. And that's the theory behind that is that when you have glue everywhere, then the two layers of sticky glue will go together much better. You don't get air bubbles and sections where the glue does not grab. So I'm spreading it out, just a thin coat, and then putting the two together. That is an easy job here because of the flat spots that are still there and the ring which I left in the center. So yeah, that's how I left it for a few days. This Meranti that I used for the ring is really great stuff to cut. As you can see, nice long shavings. Of course, I have sharpened my gouges before I started working on this part. And this is also where I will shape the bottom to its final shape. So here again, alcohol to wipe it off. And you can already see what a beautiful wood this is. And there again goes the sanding sealer. I also used shavings on this, but I think I haven't recorded it. And then something which I had been thinking about for some time. I'm sure this piece can use a bit of extra decoration, but at the same time I only have this tool for a very short while now. You can also mess things up fairly quickly even, but I managed luckily. And the reason why I did it after all was that there is enough wood left to take off a few millimeters and try again. So here I'm using my pyramid tool. This is the tool from the giveaway, the one which you can win if you are going for 1000 tools. And I'm using it to make two nice grooves to sort of mark the ends or the edges of the section with the decoration. And if you look how shiny this is already, and that is only the sanding sealer burnished with shavings. But now I'm going to use Yorkshire grit on top of that, only on the outside though. So on the inside this doesn't have much purpose. And I also I need to glue something in, which you will see later. And when you put something like Yorkshire grit in there, it might affect the hold of the glue. So I decided to only do the outside. Just rub it in gently at a relatively low speed, and then polish it off at high speed. I'm always using the same part of the cloth for both operations, and in the end it gets almost a bit scorched, but great effect. So then I'm just lightly polishing the bottom, but not in the center, because that's where I will insert that piece which I just talked about. So you will see that in a moment. And as if it's not shiny enough yet, here comes the microcrystalline wax. Smells really nice, by the way. Okay, here we go for the center section. This is a piece that I made off camera, and it has a little nub intended for centering it, and that has a diameter of 10 millimeter. So what I'm doing here is I'm drilling a 10 millimeter hole. And then we'll check if it fits. Nah, not too shabby. So here I'm using the ruler to measure the length of the little pieces of board, this oak that I used for this. Same as the centerpiece, that's also oak. And here you see how that goes together. The inserts are 5 millimeter thick, but due to tolerances in my table saw, they fit better on one side than on the other. So two of them I had to reverse, and you see there's a big difference in how they slide in. So the idea is that, well, this is going to be glued in, of course, but then on the top I will put another piece of wood. I'm thinking padouk or something with a contrasting color like that, and on top of that I will put a little decorative piece which I have ordered from China. That's on its way right now. Here I'm gluing in my logo. Okay, time glue in that centerpiece. You can see how you can lift that out. That's all great fit. So I'm putting a little bit of glue in the hole, and then it goes back in. That's it for now. So the piece that covers the center, I will make in the follow-up video, where I will also make the lid. Thanks for watching.